How we doing, guys? Sam back at Anglers. It is that time of the year. White Perch Open is fast approaching. It's going to be on August 2nd this year. It's a great time to get kids involved. If you like big fish, big white perch, this is the time to do it. It's going to be at Hickory Point like it always is. You can sign up on our website. We're going to have all sorts of different scoring for both kids, adults, and everything like that. So, ton of fun. If you've never been, we have a big, huge party at the end where there's a bunch of fried fish, other vendors, stuff like that. So we got all sorts of cool stuff to do after fishing. But what I want to talk about today is big white perch. That's going to be the goal and really the ticket to winning this. It's not a numbers game. It's going to be a big fish game. There's a lot of big fish out there this time of the year, but you got to approach them a little bit different than maybe you would those typical white perch that you catch off the pilings up in the rivers. Those are certainly fun fish to catch, but when you're looking for bigger ones, I start looking at them a lot like I would rockfish. So higher current situations, those fish can take that opposed to some of those smaller ones. Also fishing in deeper water often and fishing with bigger baits are kind of the main keys to getting those bigger bites. One of the things that I think a lot of people take for granted is tide. Tide is super critical when we're fishing for rockfish. White perch fishing, we also take it for granted because those fish can often eat anytime, but those bigger fish are a little bit smarter. They use the tides to feed on those bigger bait, things that are affected by the tide. It doesn't necessarily have to be a high tide or a low tide or anything in between. You just want those fastest peaks of the tides. So if you look at any tide chart online, if you've never looked at it, you'll see where it drops or increases at a much quicker volume than it typically would. Those are the kind of times you want to be out there. You can target these fish both shallow and deep, both in the river and the main stem of the bay. One of the most popular techniques for those bigger ones is jigging spoons or heavy metal or whatever you want to call it, but just inline jigging spoons like this. I'm a big fan of the Tsunami one because it comes with a single hook. They have a treble hook in the bag, but it comes with a nice single hook on there that's perfect for them. You can also go grab single hooks off the shelf and put on the right size because often they're more geared towards rockfish, bluefish, stuff like that. So you might need a smaller hook. You're looking for hard bottom and deeper water. Don't be afraid to go all the way out to 30 feet sometimes. Usually that 10 foot to 30 foot zone is where we're going to be at. It's the midsummer, our oxygen can be pretty low. So it's a nice thing to go online and look up at some of the NOAA charts, figure out where the better oxygen and deep water is. That's a good start. And then you want to look for some of those hard bottoms. Oyster reefs, sunk shipwrecks, things like that are going to hold those bigger fish. Jigging this, much like you would for rockfish, typically a nice sharp pop. And then you want to follow that tip down pretty quickly. If you let it fall on a super tight line, it's not going to have any action on the fall. If you let it fall on slack line, you're not going to feel the bite. So it does take a little bit of a learning curve, but not much at all. You can get it pretty figured out pretty quickly. Another good idea is to tie a teaser above that if you want to do that. A small feathered hook, whether it be a single hook or a treble hook. You can either tip this with bait. Bait's an awesome alternative. A lot of guys will use strips of spot, bloodworms, peeler crabs are another good alternative. Tipping them with bait can often get those bigger bites as well. If we're having some of those oxygen troubles, you're fishing in a part of the bay where it's just kind of dead this time of the year, pushing up into the rivers can find you some of that better life, that better oxygen. You have grass, things like that. Typically when we're perch fishing in the rivers, we're targeting shorelines. And shorelines are certainly there. There's certainly a lot of small fish shallow, but often when you're looking for those bigger ones, they're going to be on those secondary ledges. Finding a way to target them in that zone is really what you want. So typically a little bit heavier, plastic or jig or whatever you want to use than you typically would. So you might use a 1/4 ounce or 1/16, going up to a little bit heavier like a 3/8 ounce, and kind of targeting those secondary ledges. And fishing bigger baits. One of my favorite baits for them are these 4-inch gulps, the curly tails. Also, don't be afraid to fish a 5-inch straight tail or 4-inch streak from them. Some of those longer cylindrical profiles can get in their mouth a little bit better than some of the bulkier rockfish plastics. But don't be afraid to go too big. You're looking for those big bites. We've got some nice jigs here from Mustad, which are pretty heavy, but they also come with a perfect hook for white perch. Short gap, it's a long shank, which is fine, but a short gap. We also have some good options here from Daiwa. These are tungsten, so they're a little bit heavier than most of the other ones, while still having that compact size. So if you're struggling in the deep water, don't be afraid to go up in the rivers and look for some of that better oxygen on those secondary levels. Just a quick reminder, guys, August 2nd, we're going to have all sorts of fun and games going on out there and a great time to show off your white perch skills. Thanks, guys. Take care.